The early 2000s was an interesting time to be a fan of anime in the West. If you wanted to watch the latest and greatest anime from Japan, you really only had a few options. First, you'd have to hope that the series eventually gets licensed. Then you'd have to wait for it to be broadcasted on television, or for a home video release to hit store shelves in your country. Or you could avoid the wait entirely by watching fan-subbed anime. For those unaware, fan subs are anime that have been translated, subtitled, and distributed by fans. And a lot of people, even those that would eventually buy the official releases, decided to watch fan subs. Even though it was violating copyright law, fan subbing in the West was allowed to grow nearly uncontested for decades. Japanese companies didn't seem to care all that much, and the Western companies that officially acquired anime licenses weren't too far removed from fan sub groups themselves. Many companies would even reach out to some of these groups to ask for their subtitles. And even if some of these companies wanted to take action against fan sub groups, they didn't have extra money lying around to spend on copyright lawsuits. One of the reasons why this seemingly cozy relationship could exist was because of the fan subbers' code of conduct. Many fan sub groups agreed not to profit from their work, and to only distribute anime that hadn't been officially licensed. Although, as you'd expect, not everyone agreed with or abided by this code. The popularity of fan subs grew alongside the internet and peer-to-peer file sharing sites, and Japanese companies were starting to take notice. This is Satomi Saito, a senior lecturer at Clemson University who teaches Japanese and Japanese pop culture. And this is how he explained the changing attitudes of Japanese companies.
First of all, Japanese media companies were not that much interested in exploring foreign market. They tried, but not that much interested. So they just let people do whatever they wanted to do. But realized, firstly, shrinking market in Japan. And expanding seems to be popularity of Japanese materials. And even politicians started advocating that selling materials, and also scholars started discussing those trends, calling them cool Japan trend, that Japan is cool, not through electronic machines, computers, semiconductor chips. It's culture.
However, despite these changing attitudes, this didn't result in a flurry of lawsuits, but that didn't mean that legal action wasn't threatened. For example, Digital Anime Distribution, a fan sub distribution site, received an email from Sony back in 1999 asking them to remove their fan subbed version of Rurouni Kenshin, and they complied. But these notices were rare and didn't do anything to disrupt the status quo, so no one expected what happened next. On December 7, 2004, AnimeSuki, a website designed to help people find fan subs on BitTorrent, received an email from a law firm in Tokyo. The law firm represented Media Factory and asked the website to stop uploading and encouraging people to download their material. The cease and desist letter specifically named the creator of the site GHD Pro, so they decided to remove all links to Media Factory-owned properties in order to avoid potential legal trouble. At the time, this included the following series: Kimi ga Nozomu Ian or Rumbling Hearts, and its Akane Maniacs OVA, Genshi Ken and Kujibiki Unbalance, School Rumble, Genkutsuo, Rays of On, UFO Princess Valkyrie, and Poguru. When AnimeSuki went public with this news on December 9th, it generated massive discussions on various anime forums, with people lamenting the state of officially licensed anime, rehashing debates about the ethics and benefits of fan subs, and wondering if this was only the beginning of more legal action from Japanese companies. What set this legal notice apart from ones in the past was not just that AnimeSuki was a very popular website, but also because it wasn't the only site that received the notice. Also on December 9th, Lunar Anime, a fan subgroup that was working on Rumbling Hearts, Akane Maniacs, and Poguru, also announced that they had received a cease and desist from Media Factory's representatives. And, like AnimeSuki, they decided to comply with the request and removed all 3 of their Media Factory-related projects. The last group to receive a letter was Wannabe Fan Subs, who were subbing School Rumble, but unlike the last 2 sites, they decided to continue releasing their fan subs anyway. These notices also affected other groups that didn't officially receive a cease and desist. Groups like Solar Fan Subs and Shining Fan Subs decided to abide by the company's wishes after seeing others receive a cease and desist. And compliance wasn't limited to fan sub groups. On December 10th, Scary Water, an anime fan sub BitTorrent tracker, which is a server used to connect users in a peer-to-peer network, announced that they would no longer host Media Factory-related torrents. But the decision to stop fan subbing Media Factory's anime wasn't universal. Anime Keep, who were fan subbing Genkutsuo, appears to have been the first fan sub group to announce that they weren't going to stop subbing Media Factory anime, and they wouldn't stop until Genkutsuo was officially licensed in the United States. Anime Faith, who were currently fan subbing Genshiken, also decided to continue. In an interview with CNET, Nikolai Nolan, a student and member of the group, described their stance. Quote, "We decided we should still promote the series. If we receive a letter ourselves, then we'll stop." End quote. They also started fan subbing Kujibiki Unbalance in 2005, but they did cancel and remove both projects right after Media Blasters announced that they were acquiring the rights. As time passed and the dust started to settle, people realized that this incident wasn't going to be as impactful as some thought, In the end, no lawsuits were ever filed, and every fansub group previously mentioned continued to operate until at least 2006. This incident definitely didn't mark the end of fansubs, and in retrospect, its lasting impact on fansubs appears to be fairly insignificant. But it did add more flavor to the increasingly contentious debate around fansubs that was occurring at the time, and that would continue for years to come.